Namaste and welcome back to Waking Up with Mindful Serenity Yoga, and I'm Nancy. We're going to continue with our discussion on the five remembrances, and today we're going to cover the fifth remembrance, the last one. We've already discovered and discussed the first four. I am of the nature to grow old. I cannot escape aging. I am of the nature to have ill health. I cannot escape sickness. I am of the nature to die. I cannot escape death. And everything I hold dear and everyone I love are also of the nature to change. I cannot escape separation from them, nor can I escape loss. The fourth remembrance speaks about what we do leave behind, our true belongings. My actions are my only true belongings. They are the ground upon which I stand. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are my only true belongings. They are the ground upon which I stand. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. So when we speak about what we're here for and what we have the capability of control, we know we cannot control what the bodies are doing. We are in these bodies, but we are not these bodies. We're using them. So we cannot control the fact that they, or even our minds, are things that we use, especially the personal component of the mind, are things we use, right? We are not thinking, the thoughts are coming into our mind. So there's a sense of lack of control there as well. So we cannot control the fact that our bodies will age, that our minds will age in the sense that they will be constantly changing in their thoughts. We cannot escape the reality that our bodies will get sick or our minds will continue to get sick or change, because most of us are already in very unhealthy minds when we identify with the ego. And we cannot escape the reality that the bodies have an expiration date on them. They too will die. We cannot escape death of the body. And therefore, we cannot escape death of the personality or the personal mind. These things are not meant to be eternal. They're very temporal, just as most physical things in life, the coming and the going of waves. We can also not avoid the changes that occur with the things we own and the people we love. We cannot cling, in other words, to things that are pleasant to us, like our special relationships or the things we grasp and are able to gain in life as far as success or material wealth or whatever it is that is pleasant to our experience here as human beings. We cannot keep these things. We cannot prevent them from changing. We cannot prevent them from leaving us and for us being separated from them. Therefore, we cannot escape that sense of loss that comes with all four of these remembrances. When we notice our bodies aging, we have this sense of loss of our youth, right? So it's a mental loss as well as a physical loss, because we do lose physical capabilities, and we also lose our identification with these physical abilities we once had and with our youth. We also may lose certain sense of belonging in the community because we have lost our youth. When our bodies get sick, we have that loss of wellness, and and with that comes could be mentally ill as well, and we'll have a loss of wellness. And we know how mental health is a pandemic in our worlds today. Mental illness is a pandemic in our worlds today, especially between the people 15 to 25 for some reason. And when we recognize that we are of the nature to die, we have this impending fear of the loss of life, because we don't know what will happen to us after we die. Where do we go? What happens? It's the end of me. And the more we identify as these bodies and these minds, these personal minds or psyches, is the more we will fear the loss of them, because we will see that if they go, if that's who I am and they go, I will go too, whoever this I am is. And then when we connect to other beings and other things during our planetary experience here, because we want to ease this discomfort we have with these fears. We will have to someday experience the loss of these individuals in our lives as they change and leave us in one way or another, or as we leave them, or the loss of things we've worked so hard to gain. Nothing is permanent, right? So though we gain things, we constantly have a fear of losing the things we gain. So there's a lot of fear and loss in these remembrances. Now, when we say we cannot escape them, that doesn't mean we do not have the capability of escaping the fear and that sense of loss and suffering that comes from clinging to these things. Once we face the reality of them, the fear, which is part of resistance, will diminish as the resistance to these true life events diminish. So when we get to the last one, when we talk about that my only true belongings are my actions, what does that mean? And of course, that brings me back to my understanding of karma. And many of us have this idea of karma as being a punishment and reward system from the universe or from God or whatever it is that source of life is. And we see karma as being a reward and a punishment thing. If we do good things will happen to us in this life or another. If we do bad things, we will have to be punished for them. And so our life circumstances in this life or another life will be, a payback type of thing. But karma is not that. Karma simply means this, what the Buddha says in his Fifth Remembrance. My only true belongings are my actions. And that's all karma is. Karma is action yoga. It's this realization that all I have to give the world is what I choose to do and who I choose to be. And that is a choice, right? So our actions are very consequential. There is always going to be a consequence related to our actions, a cause and effect, which is also which are also very key concepts in our understanding of karma. So my only true belongings, the only things I own, like I think I don't really own this body, nor do I own this personal mind. Definitely don't own this persona or this psyche, this ego, this sense of me I have, because it's not even real, right? I created it, but it's really not real, because really and truly there is no me, my, or mine when we look at the big picture. But for now, we're using the dualistic view of what we own as I am in these remembrances. So I don't own my mind, I don't own my body. So what happens to it is really, as it appears so consequential, causing so much fear, and there's no escaping these losses. But at the same time, when we realize that I don't own these are not mine anyway, they were temporary lens or rentals while I was here, then the sense of loss is kind of diminished as well. And that fear will diminish with less resistance to this reality. So I don't own the people and things that I cling to, as the Fourth Remembrance says. I don't own these things. These people are not mine. Though I deem them as special and belonging to me, my wife, my husband, my child, my friend, my neighbor, that my is a very misleading pronoun to add to these things, because they do not belong to us, do they? Yeah. They are in our lives, unfolding before our lives as a temporal nature of all things. They will come in and they will leave. But we cling to them and attach a my, me, or mine to them because it makes us feel more comfortable inside. But in reality, they are not mine. They do not belong to us. The only thing we own in our experience as human beings here is what we choose to do, our actions. And our actions are not just what the body does, what we use these bodies to do. For example, if I use this body to go over and punch that person in the head, or if I go over, use this body to go and put my arm around a suffering other, it's not just that as far as my actions. My actions are my speech, what I say, and also what I think, because thoughts are very powerful energy, especially the feelings that are attached to thoughts are very powerful energies that we don't realize how they come out into the world. Not only do they control our actions subconsciously, what we think, we tend, the body tends to follow the thought, right? But also what we do consciously. So our thoughts are very powerful energies. So if we are stuck in thoughts of hate and resentment and anger towards others, that has an impact. There is a consequence to that. And I cannot escape those consequences. That is my karma. Not that it's punishment, but that until I learn to completely open and love in the natural way that I am here to love and be open, then there will be karmic effects to my actions. Because the natural flow of action in me is love, compassion, kindness, related action. But if I resist that by closing up, and instead I choose to act even in thought form or in energy form or in speech or in physical action based on those lower energies like hate and fear and frustration and blame and judgment, then that's going to have an impact on this world. And there's no way that I'm going to escape it. So we say karma was carried on into another lifetime, and whether you believe incarnation or not, the cells are always regenerating, we're always changing, the moments are always changing. So maybe we can just talk about the next moment or the next 10 years or the next whatever. We're going to see the impact of those consequences. If we hurt another, we absorb that hurt as our own. And you've all heard maybe about near-death experiences, and you don't got to even believe in that. May consider it woo-woo. But just, they say that in a near-death experience, you go to heaven or wherever that is, the world, the afterlife, and then you get the reports, the scientific research on this is astounding. And, 90% of the people to report having these NDEs also report having a life review where they have been, had to experience what they've done to other people and experience the pain they caused and the joy they caused with their actions, be they their physical actions or their thoughts, their speech, their energy, what they put out there while they were on this planet in that incarnation that they just left behind had an impact. And there's no escaping that. We are here to grow and evolve. Souls, if you want to call us souls, or higher consciousness, or, blips of light coming in and coming out. Each of us in the incarnations that we're in are here to grow and evolve to be the best beings in the human form we can be. So therefore, to be the best human beings we can be. We're here to experience life in all its glory. How we choose to experience life, how we choose to participate in this dance are our actions. And they are our only true belongings. They're the things that we own. Though we are not, separate little entities on this planet. I'm not separated from this mind, and I'm not separated by this body lines from the person next to me. We come to believe we are, and the materialistic view is that we are, and we're all, conditioned in that belief to some extent, and it takes a lot of time and energy to dismantle ourselves from that disbelief, but eventually we come to a point in our lives where we realize we have to, because it has been very misleading. And we start to see ourselves as connected to all, one with all. And that when I hurt another, I'm actually hurting myself, the interbeingness of that. When we get to that point where we see that, and in our life reviews, whether they be here while we're alive or, have when we die, are going to show us that the only thing that we own are the actions. The only thing of value we leave behind are our actions and the consequences of those actions. So we need to be really mindful of how we act, how we think, how we feel, what we put out there into this world. as long as we are identifying with the meanness of our experience, we tend to think of life as here to serve us, and we don't realize that we're here to serve life. And that service is not, oh my gosh, I got to do this, save this person, do that. Those are parts of it. Those are parts that we choose to do when we're enlightened or whatever, and they come very easily and naturally to us because it's something we want to do that bring joy to us. But that service really means to participate openly, allowing life to do what life does, not judging or condemning or hurting other beings, but seeing our interconnectedness and valuing and honoring that and doing the best we can to do no harm. To do no harm. And that is the loving service that we are here to provide as human beings, as we participate in this dance and experience it all. So our actions are our true belongings. And they are on the ground upon which we stand. So they're the only really solid things we have here. Our clinging and grasping is like clinging and grasping to smoke. They don't belong to us. We can't control them. We can't hold on to them. But our actions, yeah, they're ours. They're our choice. It's up to us as humans to do it. That's our responsibility. And I love the way Sadhguru used to refer to responsibility as the ability to respond, right? Most of the time we're acting out of reactivity because me or my or mine is being threatened in some way. So we attack, defend, and attack back. But in reality, we are all responsible, able to respond to life in a way that serves life with action, be that action, physical action, thought or speech or energy, in a way that is positive and that leaves the world a better place. So this fifth remembrance is very deep and very unifying, and it's very, it makes us understand the other four remembrances a little bit better when we realize about the ground on which we stand, the only solidity to all those things that we're remembering and have been trying all our lives to escape and without success is our actions. That's the only solid thing of these four remembrances. And we need to stand on this solid ground of our actions with accountability and responsibility and a desire not to serve the me, which is nothing, but to serve life, which is everything. Anyway, I rambled on again. Thank you. I hope that makes sense. Namaste.